What is up, guys? You know what time it is. It is time for the full force, regional ready, locals winning Traptrix deck profile. Build this profile and take it to locals and you will be very happy. Let's get straight into it. To start off, the giveaway is going to be this ultra rare Swords of Revealing Light. It's first edition in very, very good condition. It's like flawless, centering's good. It's generally a beautiful card. It's from the legendary decks, the Yugioh one. Very cool, very cool. But this video is going to be special since it is my first full-on deck profile. You guys have been asking for it, and here's the full version, not budgeted out. If this video gets 100 likes or 1,500 views, the giveaway will be upgraded to the Swords of Revealing Light and 3 Kashtira Fenrir's. I love this card in the side deck, or even possibly, potentially even the main deck, because you know, worst case scenario, you go game 1, you see what you're playing, and you can always side them out. But I will say, I took this deck to locals the last 3 times, did very good there, and then I did 2 bigger tournaments on Yugioh Pro. They have tournaments through their Discord. I got second in one and third in another with this profile. At the time of competing at locals, I didn't have 3 Fenrir's, I only had 1. So I cited something that may or may not be better anyway. But for the Yugioh Pro tournaments, obviously, you don't need to own the card. You can just put whatever you want in your deck and do the tournament. So I did play 3. And with inconsistent decks, he just helps out a whole bunch. So that is a massive giveaway if we can reach the like or view count on this. But let's get into the deck profile. I'm not going to go into too much detail about what the cards do, but if you want to see like test hands, combos, a couple duels with it, things like that, go watch my $100 budget Traptrix video. The link for that will be down below. But I will give a brief overview of what all the cards do and the new additions, well, I should say the upgrades going past the $100 mark. I'll give a little bit more of an explanation into what those do. Starting off, of course, we are playing 3 Traptrix Pudica. Normal summon, search the field spell. Special summon, banish a monster. A special summon monster, I should say, and banish it until the next standby phase. It's a good card, and it works really well with Pingakula because you can activate a trap in any scenario, and then once it resolves, activate Sarah. Special summon this card from the deck, banish one of your opponent's monsters, and instead of it being banished until the next standby phase and coming back, you can actually activate Pingakula's effect and attach it to her as material. After that, we got 3 Miramello. Normal summon, he searches a normal hole card, trap card I should say, and his special summon effect is he pops back row. After Traptrix Miramello, we have 3 Traptrix Mantis. Her normal summon is she searches out a Traptrix monster. It could be Pudica, so you can normal and get the field spell, or it could be like Arachnacampa, so you can activate Arachnacampas and get another free body on the board to help with your rank 4 Ixie plays. After that, we are playing 2 Dionea. Dionea is a really slept on card in this entire deck. So her normal summon effect is she actually monster reborns a Traptrix monster, and her special summon effect is she'll set a trap card, whole normal trap card I should say, in my graveyard. She'll just set it directly from the grave. So she'll monster reborn, which can pop off special summon effects, and recycle your traps, which is very good. Lastly, for Traptrix monsters, we have 2 Arachnacampas. Arachnacampa is a quick effect. You can activate it during either player's turn at any point. What she does is you activate her in hand and special summon her. The other thing she does is she protects your back row. The first time any of your back row would be destroyed, it is not. Similar to the field spell, where the field spell the first time a monster would be destroyed, it is not. Moving into non-Traptrix monsters, we have the triple Parallel Exceed. Parallel Exceed is an insane card, and it does hurt when you get Ash there because you're stuck with a level 8, and the only thing this deck can really do with it is to link it off. But if you start with any Traptrix monster and one of these, it's a free Sarah and Rafflesia as long as you don't get interrupted. Last monster we are playing is going to be 3 Ash Blossom. With this changing format this month, after the ban list and whatnot, there's a lot of weird decks being played. Nobody has really found their place yet, and I don't think they will until Duelist Nexus comes out at the end of July. That being said, I think Droll is a good side deck card, and Ash Blossom kind of takes the place of what would definitely be 3 Drolls pre-ban list. But also pre-ban list, it was 3 Ash, 3 Droll, 3 Gamma, and then the driver. But switch it up how you like. This is just what I play. Let's get into these spells. I've messed around with spell and trap ratios a whole bunch. And for the main deck, I think I've got it perfected without running like the Therion engine or something like that. In the side deck, you can do whatever you want. Whatever you're going to be facing, like at your locals, whatever you notice people playing a lot, where you live, you can kind of do what you have to do for that. But game one, you don't know if you're going first or second. It depends on the die roll. The main deck is perfectly set up to go first or second. And then game two, it doesn't matter. If you know you're going first or you know you're going second, you're going to side. Game three, whether you're going first or second, once again, you're going to side. This deck does have a lot of cards it can take out and a lot of cards it can put in, which is something really good, and I think that's why it does really well at regionals across the entire world, in championship qualifiers and stuff like that. For the spells, I'm only playing the one Traptrix Garden. I've never needed two, and to be honest, you don't even really need the one. But, I mean, a free extra normal summon, it's just too good to not play. And it does give a little bit of protection. The first time your Traptrix monsters would be destroyed by battle, they're not. So it helps keep things on the board, definitely. After that, this is a deck that has consistency issues. We were playing 3 Pot of Prosperity. I've thought about moving this to 2, but you really just can't. And I do side 1 out quite a bit, but like permanently moving it to 2, I don't think it really works as well as it could at 3, because like I said, there's a lot of consistency issues and bricking is a huge problem in this deck. But it does suck to like draw 2 of these or something in your starting hand, but it is fine. When I play it, I usually pick 3, because 99% of the time you can look at 3 and get something that you would need. Most of the time you just need a Traptrix monster, like just a monster. That's mostly what you end up needing. Or if you have one and a Holotay or something, you can try and find a parallel exceed. Up next, we got double Lightning Storm. There is monster removal and back row removal built into the deck, but a little bit extra never hurt anybody. And it is pretty good because if you get turn 1 going and you have a decent board and a decent amount of interruptions and things like that, and they do manage to clear all your monsters, this can't activate if you have a face-up card, but it's a trap deck. So all of those are going to be set anyway, so it works really well in the deck. Then if you end up getting hand trapped or interrupted somehow by a monster effect, this card has definitely overperformed. Every time I've had this card in my hand and been able to use it, you usually win. I mean, free cards is amazing. You don't have to pay like with Prosperity and whatnot. Triple Tactics Talent. Running 2 of these, 99% of the time I pick the draw 2 effect, but there are situations, like especially if you're playing friends or whatever and you know what they're playing, or if you're playing a deck and you know how it works, to where you can look at their hand and shuffle a card. That could come in handy as well. I think the least used one is taking control of an opponent's monster. I mean, you can take control of like a Fenrir or something, and then that would definitely be beneficial. But not a lot of Cash Tier is still being played at the moment. Anyway, that does it for these spells. Now we're going to move on to the trap. For the traps, we have 3 Traptrix Holotaya. Holotaya is what kind of makes the deck work as good as it does. This synergizes with Sarah like beyond any belief. So there's no reason in virtually no deck that would ever play this less than 3. After that, here's where it gets a little bit weird. So we're doing 1 Gravedigger's Trap Hole, 1 Traptrix Trap Hole Nightmare, 1 Floodgate Trap Hole, and 1 Bottomless Trap Hole. You can recycle these through Dionea, and when you're searching and setting traps, it's going to be Holotaya most of the time, so you're going to activate these through Rafflesia and then recycle them through Dionea. And if you draw them, obviously it's not that big of a deal. The only thing I would change for this current format, I mean, we're kind of in between formats, but the only thing I might change is adding an extra Floodgate Trap Hole to the side deck, possibly, and adding a second Gravediggers to the side deck as well. Because this deck does lose to like Ash, or even some situations you can lose to Nib. And today at Locals, actually, game 1 and game 2, my Sarah got Effect Veilered. So Gravedigger works really well because it'll just negate all of those cards that I just mentioned and burn your opponent for 2,000. After that, we are running 3 Evenly Matched. It's just a fantastic card. This card actually hurts Traptrix if it's played against you because you get such a big board with tons of back row. So if you get Evenly, it's really bad news, but I mean, you have Evenly yourself, and it's just a really good card. The main thing about it is a normal trap card, so it will get Sarah off, and that's why it's main decked. But I don't know, right now I think it's just really good because if they build a monster board turn 1 and you're going second, you can just draw phase, you know, whether it's an evenly or whether you already have one. Standby phase, main phase. Even if you have a play, just sit there. Attempt to enter battle, end of battle phase, evenly. Now everything's banished face down, and unless they negate it, they have to do it because it targets the player and not the cards on the field. So even Traptrix extra deck cards that are immune to traps still affects them. And then lastly, we got 3 infinite impermanences. Once again, it's a normal trap. It can be played from the hand, but if it's set first, it can negate like really pesky. I'm seeing a lot of floodgates. So like say skill drains up or rivalry, or there can only be one or something. Set this in the column that that's in, and then when it's your opponent's turn, or actually when it's your turn, you would want it negated on your turn. Activate impermanence, it will negate that card in the same column for the rest of your turn, and then you can go on about your business. I've actually used this card a lot frequently just to negate continuous spells and traps, and then just picking a random monster on the field, or a monster whose effect is completely irrelevant to what I'm doing, but I just needed that back row negated. But of course, if you have access to Miramello, you special summon him and you can just blow it up anyway. Unless it's a skill drain or something, then you can't. And that does it for the main deck. So now let's get into the extra deck. The extra deck, of course, is going to have 3 Traptrix Sarah. Sarah's the reason why the deck works. This and Holutea make an insane control deck, and you can do a lot of stuff during your opponent's turn, all facilitated through Sarah. Up next, we have 1 Adipus. Adipus is really good, and this is how you can OTK or get over large monsters. This is how you can get a Traptrix monster to 3,500 attack. All Traptrix monsters gain 1,000 attack if you have a normal trap in the graveyard, and also it can negate, if you have her and 3 Traptrix monsters on the board, you can negate 4 cards on the field. It's a card, it doesn't even have to be a monster. And then you can destroy one of them. She's an insane card, and she is the access code talker target to get access code up by another 3,000. Then we were playing 1 Pingakula. Pingakula is extremely good, especially synergized with Pudica, because Pudica will banish until the next standby phase, but Pingakula will just suck it up and have it as material. Then we got Alamaris. Alamaris can generally be a Pot of Prosperity send, but she's really good to have in the deck because same situation with Pingakula, but instead of sucking it up, Alamaris will actually special summon it to your side of the field. So you can set up pretty good plays with bottomless, or if you know you can get Pudica off, these two, you want to have one of these on the field. After that, we got the Shield of Traptrix. We got the Traptrix Rafflesia. Traptrix monsters can't be destroyed by battle or card effects while she's on the field, and they also cannot be targeted while she's on the field, except for her, of course. So when she's on the field, they have to get over her first in 99% of any scenario. Even if you get Regeki or something, she's the only one that's going to be sent to the grave. I think she's just too good to not play 2 of. This is the Traptrix extra deck lineup. Let's go into the spiciness of the other stuff. We got the Time Thief Redoer and the Zeus. These come in handy a whole lot. Time Thief on his own is extremely annoying once he hits the field. If you don't negate him, no matter what, he can just send himself to the grave and keep coming back. And he does gain material every standby phase, which is good for Zeus. But the main thing is once again, the deck needs like some sort of draw power or some sort of consistency. So if you do attach a spell from your opponent's deck, and then you can activate his effect, and detaching a spell will let you draw a card. So he has draw power, can gain material, can potentially and very often actually go into a 2 activation Zeus. So this is what I call the Zeus package. So we definitely have these big boys in there. Up next is the Rika engine. We do have Rika Queen Strinna. She works with the Therion engine as well, so if you're playing Traptrix, even if you don't run the full Rika engine in this deck, you should still probably have a copy of her, at least in a binder or something. Worst case scenario, you can overlay into Rika, detach 1 and add a plant monster from your graveyard to your hand. The 2 targets for her are Dionea and Pudica. The other 2 or 3 Traptrix monsters, they're insects, but getting Dionea into the hand for another normal summon will let you monster reborn another card. So she'll recycle the Dionea's normal summon effect. And then we got Aromaseraphy Jasmine. She's the key to getting out Sacred Tree Beast Hyperion. And Hyperion can negate anything as long as he has that type of card attached to it as material. And the way he gains material is if you activate a card, monster, spell, or trap, you can attach one from the graveyard to this card, and then at any point in time you can detach one of those types to negate one of those types. So the way it works is you overlay into Strinna, activate Strinna's effect, add like a Dionea or a Pudica to your hand, then you link into Jasmine, activate her effect to tribute the Strinna, and special summon, once again, a Dionea or a Pudica from your deck. So if you did Pudica, for example, then you would get to blow up one of your opponent's cards. Not blow up, but banish it until the next standby phase. And then you activate Strenna's effect in the grave, which will bring out Sacred Tree Beast Hyperiton, and then you can choose to attach her as materials. So when he hits the field, he already has a monster negate. But that is not even, I mean, that is kind of the main reason. I mean, I'd rarely ever go into something like that, if ever. What I usually do instead is I'll link into her and then almost immediately link into an access code talker. The reason why that's so good is because all your linked monsters are earth except for her. She's a light. So access code talker will hit the field with 3000 attack boost by targeting Adipus, and he'll have 2 blow-ups because he can target each of every attribute once per turn. And then generally your graveyard is filled with, not filled, hopefully not filled, but usually there's 1 or 2 Saras in there as well. So next turn, if access code talker survives, you get another free blow-up. But if you don't have the materials out to go into like the whole thing, then you can just link into Jasmine, link another Traptrix monster in Jasmine into Adipus, and then 1 more Traptrix monster, or all Holotea. Keep that in mind. It can be any Holotea that's treated as a monster. Then link that into access code talker. Now access code talker. Also, quick note before I go into that, access code talker, your opponent cannot respond in any way, shape, or form to any of his effect activations. So he'll activate, target her. She's a link 3, so he gains 3000. He's not 5300. And then you can activate his effect to blow something up, and they can't do anything about it. So banish for cost, blow something up, but you can't do earths the rest of the turn. That's where Aromatherapy Jasmine really shines, because she's a light. Do it, blow something else up, and then you have 5300. And then last, but definitely not least, once again, consistency issues in this deck. 1 Baguska. Baguska is a great card to like negate every monster on the field and kind of draw things out. But then when it's your turn, just switch them to attack, do what you have to do, and then hopefully win the game. But that will wrap it up for the extra deck. Moving on to the side deck. Keep in mind, this is the side deck I used, and it can be changed in a million different ways. So for the side deck, we have 3 Kurikaras. Kurikara is just an absolutely insane card if you're facing any deck that plays while it's your turn. It's like Kashtira, some Super Heavy, Pearly, Traptrix, Labyrinth, Sword Soul, I mean, some Sky Striker cards. I mean, it's just a really, really good card. And it gets beefy also. Then we got 2 Nibs. Nibs are always good. I don't think you need 3. 3 Drone Lockbirds. They aren't to the point of being fully cut yet, so I do have them in the side deck. 3 Solemn Strikes. This would be Solemn Warning, but I actually don't have 3 Solemn Warnings. And the main thing you need from it anyway is the monster summon negate. That's the main thing you would use, but I guess like Branded Fusion and stuff, you could Solemn Warning that card. You can't Solemn Strike it. 3 Anti-Spell Fragrances. This works against a lot of different decks, but I think what I'm going to do in the future, Anti-Spell is a great card, and I don't know what I'm going to cut and how I'm going to work it out, but my number one thing I'm thinking about right now, and probably going to have to test a bunch of, is replacing anti-spells with 3 Fenrir's instead, now that I have all 3. If you get a bricky hand, but you have Fenrir, then you have a special summon, and then when any monster activates any effect, at resolution, this can't activate during the chain, but at resolution, you just banish it face down. Or to get over any giant monster, it's really good for that as well. But the main thing is a bricky hand, quote unquote, is no Traptrix monsters and a bunch of traps. So you would special him, set a whole bunch of traps, maybe have a hand trap or 2 in your hand, and then pass. And I don't think that's really that bad. And then last but not least, 1 Feather Duster. Feather Duster's here, and this probably could and probably should be like a Called by the Grave or something. But to be completely honest, I had 14 side deck cards and just decided to go with the Feather Duster. So that is it for the side deck. I do want to say one thing real quick, or show you guys one thing. Here's some really, really good options to put in the deck or in the side deck. I think the deck's amazing right where it's at. The only thing I might change is taking out some draw power, like 2 Triple Tactics Talents, and then 1 other card, and main decking like 3 Raigekis, because Raigeki interrupts a whole bunch of people. But as of now, I've tested with that. I don't like it. I like it exactly where it is right now. Other side deck cards that would be really good. 3 Kashtira, obviously. Book of Moons, this was more for like Kashtira, but it still can be a good card if there's a very troublesome continuous monster effect on the field. You just Book of Moon it, and then you can go about your turn. 3 Kaijus, if Kurikara is not doing the trick because they're not activating their monsters on your turn, Kurikara is useless, so that's where like 3 Gamma Seals would be good or something like that. 3 Raigeki, of course, and then lastly, some back row removal in the 2 Cosmic Cyclones. This would be good options, and I think you can go through the cards in this side deck and then these 14 cards, and you can kind of put together like an amazing side deck. But it all depends on where you're playing in your locals and what's going on there and what people are playing there. Of course, that's always going to decide what your side deck's going to be, but if you're going to go to a regional where you have no idea what you're playing, take the side deck list that I gave you, take these 3 Solemn Strikes, put in Solemn Warnings instead, and take the 3 anti-spells and put in 3 Fenrir's instead. Other than that, the rest of the side deck is almost mandatory, except for the Feather Duster. This can definitely be anything else. But I think these 8 you definitely should have in there. But it is your deck and you can do what you want. So that is going to be it for the deck profile. I've seen a lot of success with this deck and it has been a lot of fun. And be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to enter the giveaway. And let me know what you think. Is there anything you would change? And what cards would you change them to? Regardless, that is it for the video, and I will catch y'all next time.